Hey everybody, welcome back to Keke Loves Nigeria. And on this episode of Keke Loves Nigeria, we are going to finish talking about whether Black Acres is cursed and haunted. All right, so come on, join me for part 2. Okay, so let's pick up where we left off. Where we left off in part 1, Rick was explaining how the guards who were staying out at Bag were seeing orbs at night. And we were talking about how orbs are your ancestral spirits. But these ancestral spirits are not Bag's ancestral spirits. They're the ancestral spirits of the people who that land truly belonged to. So let's listen to what Rick says that the locals explained to him what these lights were.
But anyway, they said that it's the ancestors parading around up in the sky. So I'm going to ask him about that because I'm curious, because the nights that I've spent the night out here, I didn't see anything. I just heard music in the background like it was coming from.
So this statement right here let me know that Rick does not have a clue who ancestral spirits are or what ancestral spirits are, because he doesn't understand why he doesn't see these ancestral spirits. Well, because they're not your ancestors, Rick. So I think it's fair to say that we have established that the ancestors are present in this land, and that the ancestors do not like the presence of Black Acres of the Gambia in their ancestral land. So I think we've established that with the signs. So we're going to move on again to something else I want to tell you guys about, and that's the trees. And I completely forgot about this until somebody wrote in the comment section. So thank you for commenting about ancestral trees. So this is something that you really have to understand, and that is nature and the spirit world go hand in hand, okay? Trees are like the oldest living things in nature, okay? The baobab tree, we're going to talk about that tree because this is one of the mystical trees in Africa, okay? This tree is said to harbor ancestral spirits, okay? It says that any individual's ancestor at any given time can live inside of this tree. So they can come back and they can decide that they want to live inside this baobab tree. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. And this baobab tree is full of wisdom, authority, and customs, and people really respect these trees. So let me tell you about Black Acres. That brings me to an experience that I had at Black Acres, okay? And it involved this tree. They have a tree out at Black Acres that looks exactly like this, okay? This tree right here, they have a big tree that's kind of in the center of everything, and it looks exactly like this tree. All right. So, on my visit out at Black Acres, that tree was something that I noticed soon as I got there. Okay, as soon as I got there, I don't know why, but I just noticed this tree. It was humongous for one, and I just paid attention to it. So, we had a nice little visit. We walked through the land, and it was just really nice. And it was time to go. But when it was time to go, guess what? The driver couldn't find his keys. So all of a sudden, the driver had lost his keys. All right. Now you got to remember, Black Acres has 26 acres of land. And we had walked all over that land. We had walked everywhere because Rick and Cynthia had showed us everything. Now, if they thought I was such a spy, why would they show me everything? But I digressed. So we walked all over this land, right? So we had no idea where these keys were or where to even begin looking. So I was walking with Cynthia, okay, because me and Cynthia, we kind of connected. We were cool, so we were walking together and we were talking, and she was telling me that this happens all the time. And I'm like, what do you mean? She says, oh, people come out here all the time and lose things and lose their keys. Rick and I lose our keys all the time. And I'm like, what? And she was like, yeah, this happens all the time. So then I thought and I said, oh, there's a spirit out here then. There's a spirit out here who's behind all of this. There's a spirit out here who's taking things from people and who's hiding them. And that's when I knew I had to connect. So I realized I had to connect with the spirits who were out there controlling this land, okay? So, and I figured the spirits had something to do with this tree because this tree had this presence, all right? So we were walking around where the tree was, and I remember I started praying, and I started asking the tree. I started literally talking to this tree. And I can't remember if Cynthia was right there or not, but I remember asking the spirit to give us back the keys. I remember saying, we're going to come back and visit with you. We're going to come back out here. Don't worry, we'll be back. Just let us have the keys because I want to go home. And do you know, all of a sudden, in all those acres of land, the driver yells out, he was over there by those blue tubs, I got the keys. Can you believe it? Also remember the dominant feeling that I was feeling at that time was sadness. I remember feeling sadness, like that spirit didn't want me to leave, like it wanted me to stay there. And that's why I had to say and promise that I would come back for the spirit to give up the keys. But after we left there, all hell broke loose. So we got the keys now. We're sitting in the car. Rick and Cynthia, I believe, they had drove off because they had to go someplace else. So we're sitting in the car with the driver. Then all of a sudden, me and my friend, who was a male, we get into an argument. And y'all, it was a bad argument. It was a terrible, terrible argument, okay? So we're leaving back and we're arguing. Oh, it is like, it's a horrible argument. It's so bad that I don't ever remember being talked to like that on the continent of Africa or treated like that on the continent of Africa. It was so bad that the driver had to intervene. And I hadn't even connected this to the spiritual activity that I felt out at Blakkk until again, someone commented in the comment section about the trees. And I remember that experience that I had with that tree out there. Now, let me tell you about the overall feeling that I got when I was out at Blakkk, because this is where I'm confused. Because out at Blakkk, there was a nice vibe that I was picking up. Like the spirit that I felt that lived out there was a nice, calm, soothing, peaceful spirit. But something was making that spirit uneasy, because why was the spirit hiding things and taking things and upsetting people? Why? I think this was being done because the spirit at Blakkk wants us to know that they are there. The true ancestors of that land, which are not Rick and Cynthia's ancestors, which are the people ancestors who really live there, who lived there. I think they want people to know that they are in existence there and that they don't like what's going on. And the missing objects is just one way to confirm that they are there. So the purpose of this video was just to share with you my personal experience with the spirits out at Blakkk and to let you know about the tree spirits. So we're going to pick up in the next video. I'm sorry, you guys, but when it comes to Blakkk, there's so much information. We're going to pick up in the next video and talk about the crop production. All right.